I'll start with a confession. There are two quote-unquote things that really make me nervous. And while I won't call them a phobia, I will admit they give me small fits of anxiety. Confined spaces and wide open spaces. And I don't mean crowded hallways or large empty rooms. I mean like tight caverns or narrow tunnels on one end of the spectrum, and the ocean or outer space on the other. In both cases, it's the fear of the unknown and the panic-inducing reality, and things could quickly turn into the absolute worst-case scenario. Today's story, 40 Meters, written by S.J. Pilgrim, touches on that first one. And for me at least, the worst horror is the type I can feel in my stomach. But before we jump in, let me introduce you to S.J. by way of her bio. S.J. Pilgrim is a writer and mathematics PhD, currently living in Bloomington, Indiana. She enjoys going for runs and cuddling cats. Her favorite genre is psychological horror. You can follow her on Instagram and Threads at the_which_of_Ryloth, spelled RYLOTH, or sign up with your email on her new website, sjpilgrim.com, to get updates about her work. I think you're going to love this story, and I'm absolutely thrilled to narrate it for you. So sit back, turn down the lights, pull up the covers, turn up the volume, and pay close attention as I narrate 40 Meters by S.J. Pilgrim. I'm Will, and you're listening to Midnight Horror Stories. "40 Meters", written by S.J. Pilgrim. It's a few minutes past 9 by the clock in the corner of my laptop. The sun will have gone down by now, but it makes no difference. I'm in a cave at the base of some sea cliffs. I can hear the faint roar of the surf outside, but the pool in front of me, illuminated by a powerful lamp hanging above it, is undisturbed by the waves. I turn my eyes to it now to give them a break. Working on maps always gives me a headache. Though it looks innocent enough, this pool is actually a shaft that extends hundreds of feet straight down. 36 meters below the surface are two large tunnels. The western one leads to a honeycomb of passages and rooms, the largest of which is over 100 meters in diameter. For the last 6 weeks, I've been working with 3 others to explore and map them. Now that we're done mapping most of the western passages, we're working on getting deeper into the eastern tunnel. We're all here for different reasons. Darren, our team leader, is a cave explorer obsessed with going places no one has gone before. Jake is a marine biologist who's been diving with him for a while now. He's hoping to find new species, like at the blue holes in the Bahamas. It was an article about those explorations that first got him into diving. Some researchers found a whole new class of arthropods down there. Spidery creatures that hunt with venom-tipped chitin harpoons. One of Jake's PhD students is helping us too, though just as a support diver. She's not certified yet to dive in underwater caves, and her interest for the project may have more to do with having the hots for Jake. I happen to know her family is against her becoming a cave diver. She tends to talk to me because there aren't many women who do what we do. I like to say I'm just along for the ride. The truth is, diving is the only time I feel like myself. Thinking about nothing but the process of staying alive, it's the perfect meditation. I'm on standby today, though. They're not supposed to need me, and I could feel I was pushing my deco last time, so I'm fine with the rest today. Before I can bring my eyes back to the map, there's a lonely ripple as a dive slate breaks the surface. Sarah must have needed to get a message to me, unless she just let go of it without realizing she'd set it to positive buoyancy. It's happened before. I put the laptop away a safe distance from the water and go to the pool. Leaning over the still, blue-green water, I can just barely get a finger on the slate and slide it towards me. A short message is written on the top page in grease pen. Something's wrong. Come down. I start to run the scenarios. I'll have to calculate first of all. If we don't have enough gas for deco, I won't have much bottom time, and there might not be anything I can do. Some rough estimates start to flash through my mind, but all that buzz stops when I open the bag with my gear, as though the scream of the zipper were a record scratch. My rebreather is my prized possession, and I can't assemble it without calm. I begin to check my gear as I would before any other dive. I attach my hoses in O2, open the valve, check the pressure on my bailout gas, and pack a new CO2 scrubber, making sure there are no channels where air could flow through without being scrubbed. I turn on my computer and now do the math for real. We have enough cylinders for all of us, even if we need several hours of deco. That should be enough. I change into my wetsuit and finish setting up my 2 side-mounted cylinders. With my fins in hand, I take the plunge. The cold is a shock at first, but the diving reflex soon kicks in and everything is calm. I slip my fins on and put my computer in dive mode. With my mouthpiece in, I let the last of the air out of my BCD and exhale, sinking below the surface. I'm weighted perfectly and descend just a couple of meters. Before continuing, I turn on my back. A closed-circuit rebreather doesn't create any bubbles as you breathe, but smaller ones trickling up from your back can tip you off to any leaks. After turning this way and that, I don't see any. I start finning down. It's effortless by now. There's a muscle just above my knee which sticks out from how much finning I do, which my husband enjoys. I feel a squeeze coming on and equalize the pressure in my ears. As I enter my usual rhythm, I check my depth and partial pressure of oxygen in my heads-up display. Because I'm rebreathing the air in my loop, oxygen needs to be added every so often, but the amount depends on the depth. Too little and I'll black out. Too much at depth and I could convulse. The others use computer models to trickle in gas at the right time based on their surface consumption rate, but I prefer to do things myself. It's as natural as breathing now. 3 more kicks as I do. I watch the smooth, shale gray walls of the shaft slide past me. The water is still and clear as glass. 10 meters now. My PPO is still perfect. The light from above starts to grow fainter, and I turn on my primary light. I carry 2 extras. 2 more kicks. I watch the line I laid from the surface down to the cavern below slip by. Having a continuous line to the surface is one of the golden rules of cave diving, but right now there's nowhere to go but straight down. I add a touch of air to my BCD to keep myself neutral and control my descent. There's nothing for me to think about but checking my heads-up display until I make it down to the cave entrance, and a thinking brain uses more oxygen. At 30 meters, I can see the entrance to the cavern zone below. It's small, but opens into a large room where the 2 main cave passages fan off. There's no natural light even where I started, but on the other side of the small hole, I can still see just a little bit of light from our flood lamp above. To either side is darkness. As soon as I'm through, I get horizontal and see Sarah by the line with our deep stop deco bottles. Without seeing her face, I can tell she's starting to get scared. She's breathing faster than normal and is in danger of bumping the top of the cavern. A necessary evil sometimes, but there's no excuse for it in a room this big. I'm worried she may be too frantic to communicate, but she quickly signs for me to pass her my slate. She can only fit a few words on each page, but I get the gist. About 1,000 feet into the eastern tunnel, the passage turns almost straight down and narrows to a restriction we've been calling the 40 meters. The reason we haven't gone any further that way yet. A restriction is a passage so narrow you have to push yourself through, and this one is 40 meters long and so tight. Darren and Jake were talking about going no mount, taking off their cylinders for at least part of it. The plan was to get just to the other side to see if there were more rooms, then come back. We'll have to stage more air first if we decide to go further. But she's telling me now that they were supposed to be back more than 10 minutes ago. I signal to her to surface and get the rest of our extra gas ready. Then I find the line and start finning down the eastern tunnel, frog kicking to avoid disturbing the bottom. A line is crucial in the cave, and I keep an eye on it at all times. The passage dips, then straightens, and the light from above disappears. There are multiple dead ends that fan out from this tunnel. I take in the scenery. The walls here are smooth as well, but a few meters later, I pass between two formations of black rock shaped like huge columns. Sarah did things by the book, letting me know about the delay, but I'm not concerned. I check my PPO and add some oxygen. The advantage of rebreathers is time. We have enough scrubber to stay down here for 4 or 5 hours at least. The real limitation on our range is having enough bailout gas in our cylinders to get back to the surface if our rebreathers flood, or something else goes wrong. I swim past another offshoot tunnel and see a clutch of stalagmites further down it. Darren and Jake probably just found a cool room on the other side and took a few extra minutes to look around. About 50 meters further on, the tunnel opens up into a massive underwater chasm. I haven't been in this room before, and take a quick look around. My light doesn't reach the opposite wall. I put it down and see nothing but blackness. We don't know how deep the floor is here, but we think it must connect to the sea or an underground river. Darren found a ripping siphon further down, a current pulling deeper into the chasm. I stick to swimming near the ceiling, keeping the line in my view at all times, and watching for occasional stalactites that could cut or snag my gear. I keep kicking, and for a while it's just me, my light, and the red line floating in the dark. I might as well be in outer space. I would stay that way forever if I could, out of view of everyone, but eventually the far wall of the chamber comes into view. The line continues through another tunnel. At 38 meters, I adjust my diluent gas. As you go deeper, you need less and less oxygen for the proper PPO. My levels still look good, and with the gas mix we're using, I don't feel narked yet. Breathing nitrogen at depth can impair you, but I'm breathing a mix of oxygen, nitrogen, and helium instead of normal air. 2 more kicks. The walls of the tunnel begin to constrict. The water is crystal clear, but my light picks up fine silt on the floor. One misplaced kick and I'll be in zero visibility. I see the line still running below me. The tunnel starts to slope down. 3 more kicks. I adjust my buoyancy again. I should be close to the restriction now, but the passage is widening again. It opens up into another room. This one is smaller, about 3 meters wide and 7 or 8 long. Like the passage I came from, the walls have been licked smooth by water over thousands of years. But here, I can also see signs of breakdown. Several large boulders laying across the floor. My eyes follow the red line down, and then I see it. Still visible between the boulders is the entrance to the 40 meters. It's less a tunnel and more a long crack in the floor, a scar of blackness that right now looks unending. It's barely wide enough to fit in with side-mounted cylinders. I can't see the end of it, but my light picks up some jagged rocks and fractured stalactites along each side of the crack that make it look like a huge, toothy mouth slightly ajar. I may have to take off my gear at some point. I check my heads-up display, then swim closer. Just inside, I see the line is tied off, and I recognize the end of Jake's 100-meter spool. When I look into the restriction again, I see a faint cloud of sediment at the edge of my light. That would be where they went through. Somehow the rest of the cave looks different now that I can see someone else is here. It was nice diving alone for once. Before going in, I look once more for any sign of Darren and Jake. Nothing yet, but they're probably just on the other side of it. I'll avoid following the line from the spool too closely. It gets so tight I could get caught on it. But I'll keep it in view and aim for the patch of silted water. After checking my PPO again and adding some oxygen, I find a section of the crack with fewer jutting rocks. I slip in. We'll continue right after this quick ad break. The first few meters are easy. With small frog kicks and some patience, I can avoid hitting either of the walls. I pause to equalize my ears. After another few kicks, I reach a place where touching the walls will be inevitable. I look around again and find a way forward that I'm confident I can push myself through. Since the walls are vertical and mostly smooth, there isn't too much silt. If I'm lucky, the visibility won't be crap on the way back. I'm aware of how deep it will be on the other side. If I have to bail out, the gas in my cylinders will go fast. But thinking about that won't help, so I don't. I keep kicking and pulling myself deeper. I'm nearly halfway through now. It's getting tighter, but that doesn't bother me. It's almost cozy. The depth of my computer says 71 meters. At this depth, I barely need to trickle O2 to maintain my PPO, and I still feel clear thanks to our Trimix blend. But I'm approaching a part of the restriction where I won't be able to get through without taking off my cylinders. I start to unbuckle the straps on my BCD. There isn't enough room to take it off like one might a backpack, so instead, I attach my still-lit primary light to a carabiner on my chest, then start wiggling my way backwards. Even if Sarah is right and something's wrong, this isn't the kind of thing you can hurry through. If I move too fast, I could become wedged, or my CO2 scrubber won't have time to work, and I'll get hypercapnic. Once my arms are free, I put one hand on my mouthpiece and another on the back of one cylinder, then keep pushing myself backwards till my head is out. I can't lose my mouthpiece, or it will flood and the water will react with the scrubber, creating acid. After backing out of my gear, I push my two cylinders together, grab my light again, and start guiding them forward. Small frog kicks, a few inches at a time. A clang rings through the water as the top of one of my cylinders hits a rock, quiet but shattering in the silence, and I pause to adjust them. I don't want to damage either of my first stages. I can't see how much farther it is, but I should be close to the end now. I check my heads-up display again and add some air to the BCD to make sure it doesn't sink ahead of me. The next time I check my depth, I'm at almost 90 meters. I do my best to get a look from around my gear and can see a small room ahead. I'm near the end of the restriction. I look for the thin cloud of silt I was aiming for, but it's hard to see now. I can still see the line though. I'll be coming out just a few feet from it. I push my gear and then myself through to the other side. As soon as I'm through, I can see this room is much larger. What I thought was the floor is actually the top of an overhanging ridge of rock. Below is another black chasm. I put my gear back on, and for a few seconds, I scan the depths, stunned by how huge the room really is. My light hits a pair of orange split fins. That's Darren, even if I can't see the rest of him. I'll have to tie off before swimming to him. I'm surprised he's not by Jake's line. But before I get my spool out, I notice his feet aren't moving. His fins are just floating in the darkness. Then they disappear. I don't see him kick. It's more like he was just jerked down out of range of my light. I keep watching the place where he was, but there's no sign of him. A sound tears through the water. My light goes out. It's possible it cracked because of the pressure, though this one is supposed to be good to 200 meters. A second later, I feel a jerk and drop the broken light. It's hard and sudden enough that I get pulled a meter or two before letting go, and for a moment, I think I'm caught in a siphon. But no. Could a line have snagged the light in my hand? I'm about to take out one of my backups when I see something I couldn't see before, but which was no doubt there this whole time. Far below where I saw Darren's fins is a faint light, only it isn't the wavering yellow cone of a dive light, but a pulsing cluster of white. Instinct tells me I need to get back to the restriction, and I do, kicking fast for the first time this dive. I know which way is up from the pressure in my ears, and kick back that way until my outstretched hand hits the ceiling. By touch, I find the entrance to the 40 meters and slide back inside a couple of feet. I check my PPO and add some O2, then take out one of my backup lights and look for the line. I don't see it, but there's a big jet of rock to my left that I'm pretty sure it's on the other side of. Even so, I start a lost line procedure. I unclip my smaller spool and tie the end of one to the nearby fangs of rock. Instead of going out into the room again, I back up until I can get around the tight space to my left. If I don't see the line there, I'll start working my way out in a spiral. As soon as I get a few feet to my left though, I find it and follow it to a tie-off right at the end of the restriction. I didn't see this tie-off when I first came out, and now I notice the line beyond it is moving back and forth. Jake must be doing something with the other end. I follow the line. I believe now that something has gone wrong, but the line doesn't lead out and down toward the strange light. It stays flush with the wall just inside the 40 meters. And it's still moving. Jake should still be alive. I don't think Darren is. After working my way sideways for a while, I see the glint of a flashlight further back into the 40 meters. It's waving back and forth. He probably saw mine. I hear him banging on one of his cylinders now. There's more silt. I'm starting to lose visibility. A few feet later, I can see him. His large frame is wedged in a crevice a couple of meters above me. I can hear he's breathing heavy. I shine my light on my other hand and ask him if he's stuck. From signs and a few half-articulated grunts through his mouthpiece, I can discern one of his cylinders is wedged and that he can't move his right leg. His spool is still attached and stuck underneath him. He wants help getting out. I tell him I'll try to find where he's wedged and to help me with light. I go to hand him the backup I'm holding so I'll have both hands free, but instead he grabs my wrist and makes me lose my grip. I'm a moment too slow to grab the light with my free hand and can only watch as it sinks down out of the restriction and into the depths. His grip is so tight my reflex is to try to pull away. His breathing gets heavier. I check my PPO and add some more O2. Then I sign that I'm going to try to pull him out. I brace my legs against the wall of the cave as best I can and pull, but he doesn't move an inch. I try once more. I have to stop until my breathing is even again. If I exert myself too much, I could overbreathe my loop and get a hit of CO2. He's still holding a light in his right hand, and after getting him to tuck his left side down as much as possible, I can barely see the top of the wedge cylinder on his right. I should just be able to get my knife in far enough to cut one of the straps that keep it in place. That will let it wiggle enough that he can get it free. It'll be hard to swim with after, but I don't think he's getting out otherwise. I take the 8-inch blade out of the sheath on my right calf. It's pointed and serrated on one side. Not the most practical for diving, but I have an attachment to it, and the extra length makes it perfect for this occasion. I slide the end between the rock and the metal bottle. I can feel when the blade catches one of the straps and starts sawing through it. Jake's breathing gets a little easier. The knife gets deeper, and the bottle starts to shift a little. A few seconds later, it slips out from the rock. He can move his torso now. I think he's free until I see the same rock his right cylinder just got out from under is also pinning his leg. This whole restriction was created through breakdown, from two massive slabs of rock falling against each other and breaking apart. When he pushed himself into this crevice, he disturbed the rock which dislodged the bigger one. It's too big to move even if I could get a good grip, and there's no room to maneuver. Besides that, the nitrogen is starting to affect my coordination. I check my PPO again, and am pleased to see my air consumption is only a little more than it would normally be at this depth. He's still holding on to me. I need to say something to him to get him to let go. The best I can think to sign is that Sarah is going for help, and I'm going to come back with extra gas and get him out the rest of the way. The problem with saying this is that he knows it's not going to happen. Sarah could have been on the phone with the best cave rescuer in the world who happened to live just down the road and be talking to him right when all this happened, and it still wouldn't help. There's nothing anyone can do. I should have said I needed the hand free to dig him out. That's true anyway. He squeezes me tighter. I say again that I'll come back with help if I can't get him free and that he needs to let go. He still doesn't believe me, which is a little annoying. He never really got his breathing under control, and now it's getting worse. He starts to kick, trying to jerk his leg free, shaking me back and forth in the process, threatening to tangle me in the spool still clipped to my chest. The water around us is full of silt now. He's panicking, and a panicked diver can easily kill the person trying to rescue them. I find another jut of rock to brace my thighs against and pull down as hard as I can until his left arm is extended straight down. His arms and his grip are stronger than mine, but I still remember my old gym teacher who taught wrestling to boys and girls, saying, "What's stronger, an arm or a leg?" From here, his right arm won't be able to reach me. I poke him in the forearm with the point of my knife. I try not to go too deep, but I have to get through his 7mm wetsuit. He makes a noise and almost loses his mouthpiece. But he doesn't let go. He tries to pull me back up toward him. The jagged rocks dig into my legs. Even through my own wetsuit, it hurts. But I don't budge. I poke him again, and this time he lets go. I think about giving him the knife before I leave, but I don't think he would take it, or that it would do any good if he did. I take out my second backup light and start looking for a way around him, but I only have a few inches of visibility. I glance at my heads-up display, which I can only barely see, and add some O2. I push myself down out of the cloud of silt and keep looking for a way through. Jake is still struggling and making noise, but I don't pay attention. I still have the spool I tied off earlier, and I follow it back, untie the end, then start working my way back up through the 40 meters, giving him a wide berth. Just a few meters in, I have to take my gear off again and do it the same way as before. I settle back into my rhythm, breathe in, a few little frog kicks, breathe out, check the way forward, then a few more. I'm making good progress until, for the second time, my light fizzles out and I find myself in absolute darkness. Did this one crack because of pressure? Did the battery compartment flood because it was old and beat up? Or did I just not check the batteries for a long time? I don't consider further which it might be. Instead, I tie my cylinders together to keep them flush with each other, then back up to a place where I can switch places with my gear so I can feel my way ahead and guide it behind me. I'll have to find the line when I get out the other side, but the room on that side isn't that big, and I still have my spool. I keep pushing myself through a few inches at a time, being careful to not move too quickly or disturb any loose rocks. My cylinders clang a little against the walls, but I'm able to avoid getting my hoses snagged or knocking their fragile first stages into anything. The only time I see any light is when I look at the red LEDs in my heads-up display. I keep my rhythm in the dark, pushing myself up a foot, then guiding my gear up behind me, until I'm within a few meters of the exit. There's a tight squeeze above me, but I don't feel any other way even after searching for several minutes. I get through it all right myself, and think I've found a way to slide my gear through when I hear a hiss and feel a stream of bubbles. I've clipped the valve on my O2. I'll have to bail out. I grab the regulator attached to my belt and take my first breath on open circuit. I blow a small but steady stream of bubbles as I continue feeling my way up. The rest of the restriction isn't as tight, and a few minutes later, I'm out of the 40 meters. Once I'm out, I start another lost line procedure, and even though I had a good memory of where the tie-off was, it takes me a while to find it. I start following the line again, keeping my fingers on it as I kick. When I feel it starting to turn up, I know I'm close to the big room that's not too far from the artificial cavern and our deco bottles. Kick, kick, a trickle of bubbles. Kick, 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 kick. I'm flutter kicking now. It's more energy efficient, and it's not as though it matters anymore if there's silt. There's still no light. My depth gauge says 43 meters. The passage bends up again. I keep following the line, and there's a metallic thud as the first stage of my left cylinder slams into a rock protruding from the ceiling. I can hear the leak, and it's a bad one. I keep swimming. The line is following close to the ceiling now, so I know I'm back in the big room with the siphon currently below me. Kick, 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 kick. I don't think about exactly where I am, whether I'm through the room or not, whether I'll have enough air to get out of here. I don't waste any trying to decide. I keep following the line when my hand finds what I know is the last tie-off before I'll be back at our deco bottles. But when I grab the line beyond, It's slack. This section must have broken somehow. It's another 100 meters or so to the cavern zone, an almost straight shot if I remember right, and I have to find the right way in the dark on my first try. I try to visualize the line, to reverse exactly how I followed it on my way in. I start swimming. Slow bubbles. Kick, kick, kick. Another breath in. Kick, kick. Slow bubbles. Kick, 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 kick. The next breath has a hint of the pull of an empty cylinder. Kick, kick, kick. If my heading was true, I should have hit the tunnel wall where it turns up, the last turn before the faint light in the cavern. I've gone the wrong way. As I take my last breath in the silent, impenetrable dark, I let myself have a few thoughts. I think that this was a good dive, all things considered, and that I would have liked to eat more foie gras and get more head, though I've lived well, again, all things considered. I start to exhale slowly. Kick, 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 kick. My fingers touch rock, then the other end of the broken line. It's only a few meters now. I follow the line up and over, and for the first time in what feels like days, I see light. A few more kicks, and I'm close enough that I can see the extra cylinders dimly illuminated. My lungs are screaming, and my head is starting to swim, but I make it to them and find one of the attached regulators. I take a desperate breath, then pause to take a couple more as I resolve to do more of the things I would have liked to do more of when I thought I was going to die. I check my computer for the deco schedule. An hour down here, then a couple more higher up in the water column. I've clipped myself to a line and slept underwater in a full face mask before, so not so bad by comparison. Now that I have plenty of gas and nothing to do, I think about the dive. My technique was just about flawless today, and the structure inside those larger rooms was breathtaking, at least while I could actually see it. I had better check my backup lights before next time. That mistake just about killed me. Maybe I should carry 4. Thinking about this reminds me, and I check the blade of my knife. It looks clean. I think about how Jake might still be alive for now. It's a strange thought. It's cold enough that after an hour I have to swim a little to stay warm, but I take my time doing all my deco. I'm looking forward to getting dry and warming up. By the time I'm on the surface with my gear off though, I'm already wishing I was underwater again. Sarah is talking to police or Coast Guard or whatever they're called here. They're having a hard time talking to her because she's upset and doesn't speak their language. She's been asking me what's happened and if they're all right since I broke the surface. And as I peel off my wetsuit, I explain. I'm tired though, and don't pay enough attention to hold my face the right way as I tell her. She's still talking on the phone, and now she won't let me leave. It's starting to get a little annoying. It's not like I don't understand why she's upset. Jake was funny sometimes, and a good lay, though she doesn't know I know that. I'm still cold after toweling off. I think I'll have some tea when I get home. What did you think of 40 meters? Comment on Spotify, and let's talk about it. A huge thank you to SJ Pilgrim for submitting this terrific story. Be sure to follow her on Instagram and Threads at the_witch_of_Ryloth. That's spelled RYLOTH. And be sure to sign up for updates on her website at sjpilgrim.com. And of course, don't forget to follow Midnight Horror Stories wherever you stream podcasts and on Instagram at Midnight Horror Pod. Thanks for listening. See you next episode.